So, today we're going to look at some very basic recipes. Things that anybody can fix with minimal ingredients and minimal equipment in the comfort of your own home. Okay, so this is a multi-part recipe. Step 1. Chef's Inspirational Syrup. 10 ounces of fresh brewed coffee. 1 ounce of your favorite cream liqueur. One spoonful of sugar, cold cream, combine, sip, and then set off camera out of the way of your workspace. Now, I said earlier that this is going to be a thing that you can do regardless of what you have for kitchen equipment. So we're going to go over things real quickly. Things you're going to need for equipment at this stage. You need one large metal mixing bowl, your handmade 100-year-old rolling pin. You're going to need a rolling pin, but you don't specifically need one of these. 1 cup measure, half cup measure, a set of 60-year-old measuring spoons. Also, they don't have to be 60 years old, but you're going to need some cling film, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of bread flour, tablespoon of sugar, half cup of warm water, 1 cup of room temperature milk, 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast, and 2 tablespoons of butter. You're going to need some more flour as time goes on because you're going to need to flour your work surface and parchment paper, etc. as you prepare this to cook. However, for now, this is what you're going to need. You may also need additional moisture in the form of either milk or water, your choice as to which you use, so that you can get your dough to a consistency that you deem appropriate. What we're looking for is a nice, soft, elastic dough. Okay, in your large bowl, we're going to combine your 2 cups of all-purpose and your 2 cups of bread flour, and set those aside. In another bowl, which we have to get because we regretfully didn't think ahead and get a larger bowl, we're going to combine our room temperature milk, half cup of warmed water, sugar, and yeast. Another piece of kitchen equipment that I forgot earlier, the universally adored tiny whisk. Just mix that together, set it aside, let the yeast start to do its thing, eat some of the sugar, get more active. This will help in the long run. In the interim, we're going to take our butter to the microwave and warm this up until it's melted. And we're going to want some salt. Right in with your flour. Now that you have melted butter, that can go in as well. Having given this a few minutes to do its thing, we're going to pour it in. Now, if you have a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment, you could do this all in the mixer bowl and use your dough hook, starting on low and moving up to a medium speed over time. I don't have a dough hook, so we're going to do this by hand. Just going to mix all of this together. You can see that it's already starting to form a bit of a shaggy dough, so we're going to keep mixing, thoroughly incorporate all of this. All right, so now we're at the point where we're going to want a little bit of that additional flour. So we'll set that aside. And we're going to get a nice floured work surface here so that our bread does not stick. This is the part where you learn the truth of the statement that in any village there are 4 people you do not arm wrestle: the butcher, the blacksmith, the stonemason, and the baker. Now, this is not a bread that you want to treat gently. We're going to work this in on itself, kneading for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to call that good for the moment. Next, you're going to want to give a good coating of olive oil to your bowl. Really work that around. Place that in the center. Pull off a good sized sheet of cling wrap. Press it down over the top of your dough so that it covers all the sides, and put that in a warm area to proof for a couple of hours. You're going to want this to double in size. Okay, and through the miracle of editing, about an hour has passed and we have doubled in size. It is important to remember that how quickly your bread proofs is going to be dependent on your ambient temperature and humidity levels. If you are in a colder climate or a drier climate, it may take longer for your bread to reach this stage. Okay, so we now have our well-loved cooking sheet. Okay, so now we have our well-loved cooking sheet, which we're going to use to bake our bread on. And we have our oven preheating to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. We have a freshly floured surface, which we are going to use to form and shape our little loaves of bread. So let's start by turning this out onto our work surface. You can see that it is significantly larger and has taken on a lot of air. And we're just going to kind of work this out a little bit. So now we're going to come and grab a little more flour and our rolling pin. Flour the rolling pin, dust the surface of the bread lightly, and we're going to roll this out. Take a good sharp knife. Now that we have it cut into strips, we're going to go the opposite direction and take it down into small squares. So we're going to stack these off to the side here. And we're just going to take one of our little rectangles, roll it out nice and flat. Alright, and set this one aside. The thing to remember here is that these are going to rise in the oven while they're cooking. So this second proofing is not going to be like you're making a sourdough or like you're making brioche. You want to let them go through the second proofing just a little bit so they puff up just a touch before you cook them. Again, these don't have to be perfect. Now, flavor-wise, these aren't going to be very strong flavors. This is a very simple, very basic, very mild bread dough. These are meant to be a vehicle by which to consume your food. Once again, referencing back to truly ancient bread recipes, they were a conveyance for the rest of the meal. They were even occasionally your plates. So you don't have to have a perfect shape And you can season these up with more salt, or you can put cracked pepper on them. You can dust them down in cinnamon sugar. I've actually baked these with tahini on them directly. There's a host of things you can do. Unfortunately, I lost some of the video footage of this project, so I'm just going to finish with this shot of this bread fresh from the oven. It takes about 10-15 minutes for these to bake up and start to get a golden brown. You're going to want to let them sit for about 3 to 5 minutes before serving, and they are best warm. When you let them cool and sit overnight, they develop a crunchy cracker-like texture. So if you prefer a softer, chewier bread, I recommend eating them while they're still warm. This is one of the most basic bread recipes, and we will build on it as time goes on, and I shoot more of these videos. Because it is so basic, there's a lot that you can do with it. You can tweak flavors, seasoning, spicing, however you like. You can make this as savory as you want or as sweet as you want. So please enjoy, have fun, and we'll see you next time.